In this video, we'll learn about how to create list in a SharePoint and how to create custom columns in a list, and we'll see what are the difference between list columns and site columns, and how to create views in a SharePoint list, and later we'll modify the view with sorting techniques and filtering the list data, and how to create one more new view in an existing list, and later we'll learn about what is content type and how to save the list as a template, how to enable versioning of the data and metadata navigation, and enabling RSS feeds for an SharePoint list that we are going to create, and what are list throttling techniques in SharePoint 2010. So these are some things we have an agenda for to learn in this video. So first we'll continue with what is a list in a SharePoint. A list is a repository where the data is systematically stored and displayed in SharePoint website. That means the lists are meant to offer a consistent interface for users to view and enter the data into the SharePoint website. So just like a list is a web form. So by using this web form interface, we'll insert some data into the SharePoint website, and typically the data will be actually stored in the SQL server from the database. So from the database again it's retrieved onto the SharePoint, and the place where we are seeing the data which we have inputted is an view there. And the data can be inputted by using some fields in this list. And now the fields are typically referred as some columns in SharePoint list, and the rows or the records are referred to as an list items. So you can use this list that comes with by default with the SharePoint server, because the SharePoint is offering predefined list templates for us, and we can start creating a simple list by using this template. Most of the time the template will have a predefined functionality in it, like announcement list has some announcement functionality, like we can make some announcement, and most of times announcement will have a title, description, and when the announcement has to be get expired. Like contact list, predefinedly if you want to have some contact, so what are the minimum columns that we do required for one contact to add, all the columns were already predefinedly given in the contact list. So there are predefined templates which are offered by the SharePoint, and whenever we want to have the custom requirement, that means we were supposed to create our own list. So in this case we'll go for custom list creation. So the fourth point says, when we create our own list, we can base them on the designs used to build in list, or we can create custom list from the scratch. So most of times custom list from the scratch will allow us to create a list with a custom functionality which is not by default offered by the SharePoint server. So by default there were 4 different categories of the list which are there in SharePoint 2010. The first thing is libraries. It's a place where I used to manage some documents into this. And second, communication, that contains list types useful for communicating with other people. So we have a survey list, so that is a best example of a communication list, and we have a discussion list. So just like in a forums, I have some discussions in it. In the same way, there is a list called as discussions in a SharePoint. It establishes a ways to communicate with people. And the next we have a tracking list. It's basically used to managing the task and plans. So there is a task list template predefinedly given once again by the SharePoint. And the last thing is custom list. It is useful for creation of our own list. So where we have a custom requirement, then we'll go for custom list creation. And the steps to create custom list. So let's get back to our website which you already created. So since we were working on the team site template, a team site template predefinedly comes with announcement list, calendar list, links, and tasks. So these were the 4 different kinds of lists which are predefinedly given for an team site template. In case if you want to create a new list, we can obviously click on to the list, then click on create. So immediately we'll be taken to the Silverlight window once again. So there we'll have all the templates populated in this, and we can define our templates according to list. So all the list templates will be populated. So now we'll create a custom list, and we can see the description, a blank list to which you can add your own columns and views. Use this if none of the built-in list types are similar to the list that you want to make. That's what. So here, according to this, we want to create a list like a registration. So registration list is not predefinedly offered in the SharePoint. So it's a place where I'll create own columns like full name, what should be the last name, from which country. I want to have a complete web form like a registration. So for this we have to create custom list. So let's give the name as a registration list. So before going to click on create, let's explore to the more options. In the more options we can give the list description. I can give registration list as my description. And do you want to see this list in a quick launch? So basically our SharePoint site has on the left side there is a quick launch here. If you make it the display this list on the quick launch is yes, so registration can be available under quick launch. Under list headings, registration can be available. So now let us click on create. Yes, we want to see the list in the quick launch also. So now we are going to create a registration list. So once the registration list is ready, and you will find there a default column title in it. So generally the title is a default column which always predefinedly offered from the SharePoint server, where it will take the data of single line of text. So just click on add new item. This is what the web form which gets loaded in the Silverlight once again, and you can input some sequence of characters or special symbols or a numeric data. So basically we can input a single line of text here, and a title is a column which cannot be deleted also, but we can rename this title into the any other name. Like I can rename the title into the full name, that is possible. So let us create some columns into this. Let's go according to the handout. And right now we are going to create the columns at the list level. The column which you create at the list level, they were called as an list columns, or we have a provision to use site columns. Predefinedly the SharePoint is offering some site columns for us. Even if you observe this title column which is there in our list, it is also a kind of site column because it's predefinedly offered for the registration list, which is actually a custom list. So like this, there are many site columns which are offered by the SharePoint by default. Over a period, we'll understand how to use this site column and how I can create a new site column. So for now, we'll make use of the list columns. So let us start adding list columns into this. So we'll follow this, where we want to have a full name, which is a single line of a text, and where we want to have an age column, which should be a number, and date of birth, which is date and time column, country, where the user should be offered with choice to select the country, and the choice can be offered in drop down or radio button or even a checkboxes. So later we'll have a course fee, where we want to have a currency column, and I want to ask, are you a previous subscriber? So there I'm going to have an yes or no checkbox, and later to just input some photograph. We are maintaining hyperlink or a picture. So basically we want to have all these columns to be get created in a registration list. Let's create step by step every column in it. So the first column is full name. Let's get back to the list and where to create these columns. So precisely go to the list there, and whenever we were in a registration list, list tools will be immediately activated. And list tools furtherly has two sub menus there. The first menu is regarding for the items. Right now we won't have any items in this. The second menu is about list. So what we can perform onto this list, it's a second menu will describe the data. So from this list, I can go to the list settings. So in the list settings, we'll create column. So right now we have a general settings in this and columns information. So from the columns information, you can see there is a title column. And we also have created by and modified column. Since we will not put any information into them, because based on the person who logged into the website, automatically these two columns will be filled out the information. So in this case, we want to have a full name as in first column. So let the title to be there. So we will create a column. Click on create column link and input the first column name as in full name, where we want this full name as a single line of text. So just scroll down. We can give some description here. I can say enter full name as a description. And do you want to have this columns as an information? That means do you want to put this column as a mandatory field? Yes, we want this particular column to be having mandatory field. Right now a full name may not be an unique value for this. So right now I'm going to enforce no unique value here, and we can have a maximum number of characters to be get supported in this column. So we can even customize this value. By default the value is 255 characters. And right now we want not going to put any default text value into this. So let us not to write anything in them. And intentionally I'm going to check on add to the default view. Right now we are not going to enforce any column validation. Over a period, once again we'll have the column validation as in separately we'll see the topic. Now just click on OK. So it's going to create full name column in a list which is of type single line of text. And later we create age column which is a number. So click on create option, which is an age column which is a number column. And obviously we can give the once again description. So I can tell to the user to enter the age. And yes, I want this column to contain information. It also should be a mandatory field, and it cannot may contain unique values in this case, no problem. So we can maintain some minimum and maximum values. Right now we were not interested in these things. Let us put it empty here. And we were not interested in showing the percentages value. So age cannot be described in the percentages. So let us uncheck this. And once again we are adding to the default view. Click on OK. So next column we have it as a date of birth column. So generally date of birth column can be an date and time column. So let us get back to the website. Create column. Now the column is of type date of birth, which is actually an date and time column. So it's up to our wish. You can always show as an today's date as a default column value. Obviously date and date of birth column may not be having today's date as it. So let us put it as none here in this case. And if you are interested, if you also want to know the time, then we can take date and time. If not, we can select only date and scroll down, make this column for the default view, yes, and click on OK. And next column we have it as a country column. And let us get back to the website. And the country column, which is actually an choice column. So just click on create column, country which is a choice column, and simply start using paste. So here I'll go for choice column. A choice column should typically contain some choices. I can take for now the choice can be an India, United States of America, and UK. So I'm going to offer 3 different kinds of choices for an user to select country. And how you want to display these choices? So by default the SharePoint says the choices can be displayed in drop down menu, and we have a provision we can even make it to the radio buttons. But whenever we go for choices to be get displayed in checkboxes, user can be allowed to select multiple values. That means user can select India and also an USA. So may not be the case for now. So we'll go for drop down, and allow fill in choice will allow the user to enter his own choice. Let's say the user is from an Australia. So Australia is a choice which is not offered from us. So user has to enter his own choice. So we are giving a facility. A user can select the choice which we offer, or user can enter his own choice. So for this we need to make allow fill in choices is yes. So by default we want to make one choice as a default value to be get shown. So also check it on add to the default view. We'll say this, what is this add to the default view? No problem at all. Just click on OK. Next we have an course fee column which is of type currency. So get back to the website, create column. Now course fee which is of type currency. And now according to the year till 2010, what all the currencies which are available at the different countries, all the currencies were enabled by the SharePoint server. So I can go for typically for an US currency here. So we have an US as a dollar symbol. Yeah, we can have an Argentinian dollar, and we will go for yes, Argentinian dollar here, no problem. So but now right now here in the situation I'm not going to check on to the default view. Let's see what happens if it is not added to the default view. I'm going to do this operation for an course fee column. So just remember, for an course fee we haven't added to the default view. So just click on OK. The next column which we have it as an are you an previous subscriber? So there I want to know the answers is yes or no. So let's create this, create column, are you a previous subscriber? If the answer is yes or no, then we have to take the column is of type checkboxes. So here we have an yes or no. Yeah, by default the answer, if you want, you can keep it as an yes, so that the checkbox will be checked by default. If the answer is no here, checkbox will be unchecked. So let us keep it as yes, and let us also add this column to the default view. The last column which we have it as an photo column. So which is of type hyperlink or a picture. That means user can upload some photographs into this. So let's copy this, get back to the website, create column, is the column name. Now it's of type hyperlink or a picture. So we have a provision that we can show the link from where the photograph is taken, or we can directly show the photograph itself. If you want to show the photograph directly, we have to select picture here. So let's also add to the default view. Okay. Now let us get back to the registration list. Now you can see the title, which is the default column, full name, age, date of birth, country, and we don't have an FE column here. Are you a previous subscriber, and photo. Only the course fee column which is not enabled in the view. That is, every list have a default view here. So the columns which he enabled for the view, only those columns information will be shown here. Let's add some sample data into this. Go to add new item, and you can see the red asterisk symbol which indicates that these columns were mandatory fields. It clearly says a screen tip. This is a required field. So let's get back to the title. Let's give the title as you can give the name, full name as Sam. The age is 28 years, and I can give the date of birth as so here instead we'll go for 1975 just for convention. and here we want to have an countries. So right now let us assume that the Sam is not from any of these countries, so he want to enter his own country value. So in this case he'll go for specify your own value. There I can enter Australia. So where we can have an course fee. So right now I can enter the course fee, which is in the dollars, $2,000. And are you a previous subscriber? Since we have made the default choice is yes, right now the checkbox is checked here, and you have an option to uncheck it. If you uncheck it, the answer will be no. If you check it, the answer will be yes. So we have a provision that we can take our photo information from any of the web address, or precisely we can also take our root folder of an SharePoint also. So let's take the data from the root folder for now. So anything the data which you want to access from the root folder, we already knew the path, so that is /_ layouts / where I have an images is the folder name. So from there I can take area, assuming that it's already there in it, which is of type GIF image. Let's check it. So we have this image. Okay, and we can give some description of this image. Let's take it is a Sam image. Click on save. So now the data gets immediately saved into the database, and at the same time it got immediately retrieved from the database and shown onto the view of an SharePoint. That's what the SharePoint list it says. If you read this, the first point, a list is a repository where the data is systematically stored and displayed the data. So whatever the data which we have inputted by using the list, it's got saved into the database, and now it systematically retrieved the data and shown onto the view of an SharePoint website. Let us also input one more item into this. Let's go to once again Mr. Here we'll take Bob here. So the age of the Bob is 20 years and date of birth can be, and obviously I can say it from 2001 year. Let's just assume this. And now the Bob is from USA. The course fee, just for an course fee, I'll make it as an 1000. Yes, is not a previous subscriber. Obviously the photo column is not a mandatory field. We can leave it as empty. Just click on save. Yes, since the photo column we haven't given, it's empty here, and rest of the complete information is filled out. But if you close tab, so the course fee column information is not shown onto this view. But it doesn't mean that the course fee column is neglected while submitting the data. It's actually hidden from the view. So we have an option to make it available in the view once again. So get back to the list, and if you check in the list settings, once again get back to the course fee. It takes some little time, and now if you check it here, we don't have an option to make this column as an available in the default view. So this will be given only when we create a column. So very important. So once if you have created a column, we'll not have an option to enable it from the column editing here. So rather, let's get back to the list. From the list tools, we have a list ribbon activated here, and from here we are modifying the view here. So just click on modify view, and modify view will take us to all the columns which are by default given by the SharePoint server. And from here we were interested in course fee column. Immediately when we enable this column, automatically the sequence will be taken care. Or else if you mandatorily want to maintain the sequence of them, you can check on them and give any sequence order it. So automatically the 6th column order will be taken to the 7th position. So just scroll up and click on OK. Now there is also a course fee which is in the terms of dollars. So this is what a SharePoint custom list is. Let us create one more list here, a list by name trainers. So trainers is once again a custom list because the trainers list is not offered by default. So let us treat trainers as a custom list. So let us get back to the SharePoint website. So once again go to lists and just click on create. This is the one way of doing. And second way of doing is we can also use set actions, more options. So now let us filter all the list template. And once again let us click on custom list. Let's create the column of, let's create the trainers list here. Click on create. Now it's going to create trainers list. Once again trainers list has a default column title in it. And let's create few more list columns in the trainers list. And now we are going to create trainer name, which is a single line of a text, and experience of a trainer, which is a number, and hire date, which is a date and time column, and course name, which is a choice column, and course fee, which is a lookup column. Since the course fee which is already declared in the registration list, now I want to take the data from registration list to trainers list. So that means the data which I already have in the registration list should be taken to the trainers list. And last, I need to have a column by name certified, which is actually an calculated column. So like if the trainer is claiming an experience of less than 5 years, and we have a condition, if the experience is less than 6 years, automatically the trainer should be assigned some MCTS certification. If he is obviously above to the 6 years, I want to have an MCITP certification. So this is what a calculated column should work with. So let us create all the columns in trainers list. So first we'll proceed with trainer name in it. So trainer name, which is once again a single line of text column. And every time we can also make use of this list tools, list, and here we also have an option to create a column, which in turn creates a list column once again here. So let's click on create column. So trainer, which is a single line of a text. Yes, this column should contain information in it. Say yes. And now we can say okay. And next we have an experience column, which is a number column. Create column, which is experience, which is a number, and I want to make this experience as a mandatory column. And so once again make it to yes, and scroll down. Experience may not be unique, that's fine. Just click on OK, and every column I'm just adding to the default view. So click on create column. Let's have a look at the next column, which I have it as an hire date is the next column, which is a date and time column. So hire date, so date and time column, and here we were interested in date only, and I want to show you the today's date. So according to the present system date, what it is, I just want to show you the things. Or if you're not interested in showing the present system today's date, you can always keep it to no. So both the conditions were offered here, no problem. And once again add to the default view. Okay. Next we have a course name. So course name, which is a choice column. Click on create column, course name, which is a choice column, and here we'll offer some list of courses there. Let's select SharePoint 2010, and later I want to create the SharePoint 2013 also, and let's also create SharePoint 2007 course. So there were totally 3 courses, and let's say we will offer these courses in radio buttons. So by default value can be on SharePoint 2007. Just click on OK. And the last column which we have it as we have a course fee column in middle, which is actually an lookup column. So it's very important thing to observe here. create column. Now the column is of type lookup. So lookup clearly says the information already exists on this site. Yes. So from where we want to get information from? So get information will load the list. So here I want to load registration list, and from here I want to get the column of course. So since you can closely observe this, a course name which is not listed here, and it's very important thing, since the course which is created there, let's have a look. Yeah, we are going to take this particular thing as a lookup column, and course fee which you have already take it as an currency column. So in the registration list we have made this particular column as a currency column. Yes, the currency column. That's a very important thing. The currency column will not be allowed to take the data in lookup, and we can take the lookup information which is of type single line of a text, or we can take the lookup which is of number column information, or even date and time information. So that's the reason a course fee column which should not be populated. So instead we'll take the data of full name here. So I hope that makes sense little. So let's take a full name. So instead of taking it as an course fee column, let's take it as an subscriber. Just to understand the course, just to understand the lookup column type, we are just maintaining it's an subscriber column. Okay, scroll down, and now let's see this, which is getting the information from registration list, which is a full name, and scroll down, and with the full name, if you want any further information, so we can just select this if any other information is needed. So based on the full name selection, if you want to know what is an age of the subscriber or what is an title of the subscriber, so for more information you can just make use of this. So right now we are not going to use anything. Let's add to the default view and just click on OK. Now we have an also a subscriber. Now just make a little change in the handout. Okay. Now the last column which we are interested in, certified, which is an calculated column. So let's see how this calculated column will work here. Create column, certified, and here we have an calculated column. So here we were supposed to frame some formula. So here we will frame the formula on experience column. Let's make it do. Always the formula should start with equals to, and these are some formula pretty much equal to an Excel formula. So one who is expert onto the Excel framing the formulas, it's very easy to frame the formulas in SharePoint 2010. So if you're not good at framing the formulas in an Excel, just make a view at Excel, just learn some basic formulas there, then once again get back to the SharePoint and try to frame the formulas on it. So here let's create a formula. F experience is less than or equals to 6 years, then we'll execute and condition of you should actually have an MCTS status. So let's give this here. Or if experience is above to the 6 years, then he need to have an MCITP status. So I'll type here MCITP, just an certification indication. So close the bracket. Now from here I want to get the output of this formula is an text. That means it should return either MCTS or MCITP. So that's the reason the output value is single line of text here. So just click on OK. Let's have an input information here. Add a new item. So Mr. Trainer name can be Rahul here. Experience 8 years. hire date, you can say possibly some hire date, SharePoint 5 year, and right now we are onto the course name 2010, and the subscriber who is already having some information of Bob and Sam. Actually these two values are getting its information from registration list. So let's click on save. Now we haven't successfully saved information, and since we have framed that experience is above to the 6 years, the certified column is getting the information of MCITP. So let us change something here. Let's modify this. So in order to modify this item, we have an edit control block here. So edit control block always will be offered for the title column, or instead we can go to items ribbon interface, or even we can also click on edit item. So both the things we'll see. Let's intentionally frame the experience as 4 years. Click on OK. Now we can see this. Now the certified is MCTS status. Let's input one more item here. Let's take Mr. Raju, who is then having an experience of 15 years. Hire date. He has also an experience. Let's say the course fee is once again SharePoint 2010, or you can make it to SharePoint 2007 also. Let's make it to the Sam here. Click on save. Now this fellow has experience has 14, and he is listed with an certified of MCITP status. So here we need to understand the certified column is calculated column. So this column will not be taken information while we are adding an item. So that's the reason it's a calculated column. And subscriber name is a lookup column, which is getting the information from registration list, and rest of the list columns which are obviously created at this list. So now what we want to do is we want to put some column level validation. So like in the registration list, I have an age column there. So I want to put a validation in such a way that the age should be always above to the 18 years, or the age should be below to the 100. So I want to make this value to be activated. So how to frame this one? So what happens if the data is violated? That means if the user is entered like an age between, if the age is less than 18 years, like if user enters the age is 15 years. So automatically it should pop up with invalid age, please enter a value between 18 and 100. And I want to get this message. So basically we want to put this user message with this formula. So let's get back to the website once again. Get back to the registration list. Go to list. So there is an only option to create column here, but columns cannot be edited at this particular interface. So whenever we want to edit column, we have to get back to list settings, and from the list settings we have an age column. Now just scroll down, we can put column validation. So once again the same formula will make use of, and here I'm going to put AND condition, because we want to have an two condition. The first condition, age should be above to the 18 years, and the second condition is age should be less than or equals to 100. So just copying the formula here. Here's the same formula. Always the formula should start with equals to. That's a recommended approach, and that's what the same message we will display it for a user. Invalid age, please enter the value between 18 and 100. So just click on OK. If the formula is perfectly done there, if you perfectly wrote a formula, then only that column will be updated. If else, we are going to see an error message displayed. So let us once again get back to this registration list. Let's try to modify the age of Bob. Let's go to edit item. Let's modify this age as 15 and try to submit the data now. Save. Now you can see this invalid age. Please enter a value between 18 and 100. So this is how we will put a column level validation. So now we'll select as it is, define. Save. Now the data gets submitted perfectly. So this is how we'll create a custom list in SharePoint and creating list level columns in it and customizing the list columns. And later we have learned how to make use of some column information in other lists, that is by using lookup column. So lookup column is almost equivalent to the foreign key. Just for the database people, we have a foreign key constraint. So the foreign key will get the data from different table. So the same way here, lookup column will get the information from different column which is there in a different list. At the same time, calculated column, which takes the information based on the formula which we have framed. And adding a new item, calculated column will not be inputted. Based on the item values which we have inputted to the columns, based on this calculated column is going to calculate the formula there. Based on the formula that we are going to get calculated value there. So this is what a custom list creation in a SharePoint. In the next video we'll learn about how to customize views, and later we'll learn about how to create site columns in a list. That's all in this video. Thank you.